Was Sie hier gesehen haben, ist ein dramatisch schlechtes Abschneiden der Ampelregierung. Das war das Votum für die Abwahl der Ampel. Der Wähler will Neuwahlen, auch im Bund haben. Darauf bereiten wir uns vor und dementsprechend sollte der Kanzler Olaf Scholz die Konsequenzen ziehen und zusammen mit seinen
The rise of right-wing populism in Germany has emerged as a significant political development, highlighted by the increasing influence of the Alternative for Germany AfD party. Once considered a fringe movement, the AfD has garnered substantial support, particularly in the eastern regions, by tapping into public concerns about immigration, economic insecurity, and skepticism toward the European Union. Just a day earlier, member of German right-wing party, Mr. Hawk was campaigning hard, pushing his anti-immigration, Russia-friendly, and Eurosceptic platform. Despite being labeled a fascist and coming from a party branch that state intelligence has classified as extremist, 1 in 3 people in Thuringia seemingly voted for them. One such voter, Connie, expressed his frustration with immigration, stating, "It's gotten out of control. If you look at neighboring countries like Poland, they've hardly taken in anyone, and the crime rate hasn't risen there in recent years." When asked why the AfD is becoming so popular, he responded, "We don't feel represented by the government. There's still a wall running through the country. They think we're always wrong and that they're always right, and I don't think that's very democratic." This election marks the first time since the Nazis that a far-right party has won the most seats in a state parliament. However, without coalition partners, they are likely to be kept from full control. Some people find their rising popularity deeply disturbing. One individual voiced their concern, saying, "They're very right-wing and very against foreigners living in Germany. I'm not happy with a lot of the immigration rules that we have momentarily, but I don't think the far right is the proper answer. Our history had a National Socialist movement in 1933, and hopefully we will not repeat it again." As the AfD celebrates, their opponents are demonstrating. Meanwhile, in Berlin, the national government is grappling with dismal results. For some, this vote has stirred up fear, highlighted deep divisions in society, and sent a clear message that the current policies are not working for many. This tension is far from over, as in a year, Germans will vote in a general election, with the far right currently polling second. Political leaders in Germany are weighing their options after the far-right Alternative for German AfD party took first place in a state election on Sunday. The AfD won the vote in the eastern state of Thuringia, despite being classified as extremist by German authorities. The party secured nearly a third of the votes in Thuringia and came a close second in the neighboring state of Saxony. However, its chances of governing remain uncertain, as all other parties have refused to form a coalition with it. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz's Social Democrats performed poorly in both votes, urging all parties to form coalitions without the far-right extremists. The AfD may have emerged as the biggest winner in 2 regional elections, but they will likely remain in opposition as mainstream parties uphold a firewall against forming coalitions with the anti-immigration party. Although a majority of voters did not support the AfD and do not want to see it govern, some believe the party has a mandate to form a coalition. Moreover, concerns about the rise of the far right persist. The success of the AfD, particularly in rural areas, is alarming to some. While the AfD claims they have the right to govern in state-level coalitions, the national government faces pressure after barely managing to scrape 10% of the vote combined. With just a year to go before the federal election, these results are likely to increase tensions within Olaf Scholz's already divided coalition. Daniela Schwarzer, an expert on European and international politics from the Bertelsmann Stiftung, explained why these 2 state elections causing alarm among Germany's national governing parties. It's a historical first in post-war Germany that a far-right party has scored so well, coming in first in regional elections and securing roughly a third of the seats. In the second region, they came in second, also holding a significant parliamentary presence. This is important because it indicates shifts in the German party system that some of our neighbors have experienced earlier. Germany always seemed like a country where the far right might rise to 13 or 15%, but not to a third of the vote. Yet, here we are. This has happened in 2 regions, and the question now is, does this have implications for the federal elections, which are just a year away? The rise of the AfD in Germany, as well as the surge of right-wing populism across Europe, raises important questions. Why are so many Germans turning to the AfD for leadership? These results didn't come out of nowhere. The AfD has been building its base over years, with opinion poll data for Eastern German regions indicating their potential for strong performance. The party has offered a platform that addresses the fears of many people in Eastern Germany, touching on socio-economic concerns and criticism of the federal government's green transition policy. The AfD has also established social structures in municipalities in Eastern Germany, showing a presence that many people feel is close to them, making them seem like part of the community. However, this does not necessarily mean that these strong regional results will translate to similar outcomes at the federal level. Structural differences between Eastern and Western Germany, as well as differences in political culture, remain significant. The German mainstream parties have a deep presence in Western Germany, where there was no historical break like in Eastern Germany, where a socialist regime with no free democracy ruled for several decades. Right-wing populist parties are making significant inroads into mainstream politics across Europe, with migration being a common factor in their rise. However, in Germany, the AfD's appeal goes beyond migration issues. The party has rooted itself in communities, filling gaps where there are no sports clubs or youth centers, and offering support that makes people feel understood. Migration is indeed an important issue for the AfD and other right-wing parties, but it's not the only factor at play. Even though the European Union and Germany have toughened their stances on migration, the appeal of the far right's position on immigration remains strong, especially in regions where the actual number of immigrants is not particularly high. In the recent regional elections, 2 parties that criticized the federal government's support for Ukraine and advocated for a softer stance on Russia performed well. These parties argue that instead of delivering weapons to Ukraine, the German government should promote peace by pushing Ukraine toward negotiations with Russia. They position themselves as the parties that will bring peace back to the region, ignoring the fact that it's Russia's aggression on Ukraine that is the issue. Their rhetoric, which oversimplifies the situation by suggesting that peace can be achieved easily by not delivering weapons, appeals to those who feel fatigued after years of supporting Ukraine and those who feel their socio-economic future is at risk. This argument could put pressure on the German government, especially if the US reduces its support for Ukraine. In such a scenario, a greater burden would fall on Europeans, and a public faced with the option of an easy peace deal might become more critical of continued support for Ukraine. What are your thoughts on this topic? Please share in the comments section, and thanks for watching.